Okay, so here's how I'm going to do this. It's complicated, so pay attention. As always, because the Spirit reserves the right to do whatever the Spirit wants to do. He who justifies the wicked and he who condemns the righteous are both alike an abomination to the Lord. Why should a fool have money in his hand to buy wisdom when he has no sense? A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. Now, me being me, because I intercede for so many, a lot of times I'll read and I'll be like, oh, well, that's not good. And the Spirit will be like, that's not for you, that's for them. And I read the one for you. So walking in both worlds, trying to justify the lukewarm. Pause. Well, I'm in a hard position because I'm not working from home. Every single morning, I'm led by the Spirit, and I was simulating the walk with lukewarm people, which I don't understand how you do it. Because I'm sitting there like I know exactly what I should be doing, and I'm not doing it. Why? I know exactly how to do this. I've been trained how to do this, but I'm not doing it. I'm just sitting there doing nothing and suffering. It made no sense to me, right? I'm sitting there, okay. And this is something I learned. Because I was like, trying to find me. I was like, where am I at in this? Like, why am I feeling everybody else's, but I can't get back to my usual, which is me and God playing and us not caring, and we reject reality completely. It's not our reality. We live in an entirely different realm. And I was like, how do people live like this? It's not living. You know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And you don't do it. Then I'm like, okay. Now I was trying to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And the lesson for me was it's not about me. But I always want to know where I'm at with God and everything like that. God still talks to me. I still feel the Spirit. I still hear the Spirit. But it's very, very faint. Is the best way I can describe it. It's not what it used to be. But to have people and your spirit is inside them and you're doing the things they're doing and you're walking with them and everything like that. I was weighing it out because it's just my way of doing things. And I was like, okay, but what's going to change? Like I show up and I encourage somebody and all that, I'm eating. You guys aren't eating at all. And then I look at the situation where I did everything right. Same thing as Job and all that. Why is this happening? But then I understand why it's happening is because I'm helping a lot of people. And I'm good with that. But you are going to have to take those steps out of your situation. It's not going to come to you. This is not that season. And these are definitely not those times. So I was sitting there like, what to do with the lukewarm? And I looked back and I prayed for a spouse. A spouse showed up. Wasn't like I expected. Wasn't pleasant or anything like that. I didn't expect it to be. But a lot of times when God gives you what you want, it's way past your ability to handle. So you're like, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to part the waters. I'm going to let you walk through. And if you don't walk through, then just like the scripture says, there were some people that didn't make it out of Egypt. A lot of people are walking right now and they got scared and they were just like, why don't you just... A lot of people went straight back to Egypt after I pulled them out. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, it's scary to make a new life. But it's life. That wasn't. If I provide for you every single day and I keep taking care of you, that's what solidifies you as my people. A lot of people have been like, God, leave me alone. A lot of people are tired of hearing about Jesus. A lot of people are tired of hearing about God because nothing ever happens in their life. And that's not true. It's, you get that door opened. You say, no, I'm scared of that. I'm not going through it. I don't classify that as lukewarm. I classify that as my people are stiff-necked and rebellious. Even when manna was laid at your feet, I'm tired of manna. And I get that. I don't really like taking that walk, but my purpose is to do what he tells me to do and say what he tells me to say. That's it. And I was thinking about it. Would I get mad at God and all this? Because I've been feeling it. A lot of people have been mad at God. We were having a talk about this morning, and I was like, well, if you wanted to throw me away and never talk to me again, I would thank you for the good times, and that is your right. You created me. You created all of this. If I did, maybe you got bored with me. I don't know. Spirit's like, say that 3 more times. I'm not going to say that 3 more times. Okay. But what I do know is this. I don't abandon anyone. I know this for a fact. Even when I don't want to show up, I show up. Most of the times I don't want to show up because it's going to be painful. That's about the only reason I don't want to sometimes talk to people or deal with them, is because it's going to be painful. And a lot of times it happens when I'm already beaten to the point where I feel like I can't take anymore, and the Spirit's like, wait a second, here's this one. Hold counsel, help this one out. And I plant seeds and everything like that. But a lot of times I'm doing it for someone it's not going to benefit them at all. But it will benefit you. And they'll be in the same situation you're in, but they're not benefiting. It's just me speaking to them so that I can speak to you. then I wake up every day, I'm like, when it's a fight to even be grateful for what God has given you, then you're in serious trouble. When you can't even do that simple thing, when you look at your life, and I harp on this all the time, because I have my people across different countries and everything like that are probably more grateful and have more joy and more peace than you do. Which makes perfect sense because you can't find that in possessions. When you have money, you're just eliminating God's ability to show up because you're doing it yourself. So you're decreasing your faith right there. And everybody is somewhere else in their walk. Depends on how far you've gone. And I have my good shepherds, which are mostly not too well known. They just get up every morning, they get their instructions, they do what they're supposed to do. I'm walking with you, I'm right here. Great are your rewards, believe me. And I've been wanting to do that. And a lot of us have been attacked. You don't know where it came from, how it happened quick. Next thing you knew, you were getting attacked. It almost feels like you're defenseless against it, right? There's a lot I know that I'm not going to get into, but pause. I think the biggest thing is I sit down and I talk to people and I spend time with people that I would never have even given the time of day to. And a lot of times it's because one of my kids is there and they chose to pal up with somebody else. Let the dead bury their dead. I was pretty big on holiness and keeping yourself clean. And that's been a never-ending battle. It's been like taking a shower, just doing laundry, taking a shower. Because while I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is going to hurt so bad tomorrow. And it always does. Because once that alcohol wears off, or then I'm feeling all of their emotions. I'm getting a picture of who they are. I'm like, what apart from the scripture are my kids not getting on this? So, like anything else, everything has to come to an end. And don't think me heartless, because I've been doing this since 2 years. I've been doing it for 2 years. It started small, then it gravitated towards full on what you guys are doing. Because when I sit down with someone that's suffering or something like that, and I'm listening to the stories, I'm like, oh, you fucked up. There's a difference between suffering and carrying your cross. Nothing you have said indicates you are a follower of Jesus. You fucked up. And I'm thinking, what can I do for them? Am I going to do it for them? And why should I? But then I realized people are so afraid of being alone, which I'm used to. I was trained for it. People were like, "What's wrong with you? Like, why are you isolating?" And I'm happy. I got peace. I got joy. I'm fine with being alone. And the spirit was like, pretty much, F that. Your people are suffering. Go find them, the usual. And I'm not going to say it wasn't my decision, but what I'm going to say is there was a purpose, there's a time, and there's a season for everything. Now, starting a new life, the promised land, the Bible still exists, and it's still the walk, and it's still those stories, no matter what. And if you can see that and hear that, then count yourself blessed. They can't. And I would say, like I always do, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. But even if I tell you, you don't listen. I'm waking up and the spirit will be like, go sit down with this dude. Again, every single time I sit down with this dude, all he does is complain. He's negative. I'm not even ministering a lot of times because I can't. Spirit doesn't give me any words, and it's not that time. I'm just suffering because one of you is doing it. And I'm like, is this life, right? I can't justify it. They're not covered by the blood. There is nothing I can do about it. I don't know what people expect from me. All I can do is suffer with them, take their punishment, sit down, make them happy, and then what? A lot of times the spirit will use it, it's another story, so that your people know you were walking with them. And I'm all for that. As far as moving towards life and all that, then we have to define what is life. If you don't have your spouse, there's no life there. Doesn't matter where you're at. Then I got into this meme thing because the spirit would keep me inside so that people wouldn't talk to me sometimes when I was recharging. Because if I sit down with someone, my light goes into them, and then I take their darkness on. Then I have to cast out their demons and everything like that, and that's never pleasant. But so then I saw how people were living, and everybody's talking about they want to die, or this self-deprecating humor that I would never endorse. I would never want my little son talking the way these people talk. I think some of them are funny, like I do. Like I laugh. But then I realize that's probably my sense of humor. Otherwise, I wouldn't laugh. But I still find it sad. So here's what I'm doing in this season. One, I'm sending your spouse, your real spouse. Some of you have met them already, and you're dealing with that situation. And like always, I will deal with the man if he fucks up. I'm going to open up these waters that you think are going to envelop you, and they're not, because technically, compared to like 3.5 years ago, this isn't shit. And my prayers are way different than everybody else's. One, thank you, I'm not incarcerated. Two, thank you, I have some money. Before both of those, thank you for talking to me and I still hear you. Pause. Now, for my followers that have stuck with me, and you're trying, and you're struggling and everything like that, your God hears you. But in order to help you, and I got the word this morning, I'm not going to listen to the prayers of the lukewarm anymore. Nor am I going to listen to the lost. There are those that were taken in the air, and they understand there's a spiritual thing happening, and they're a little wavy. We're going to help them. Just like I said, I'm going to focus my spirit and my strength on those that were, it's not predestination. It's, you did something in your past life that solidified your place in heaven. And I'll make sure you get in. My sheep know my voice. And I know them. I never forget mine. I think the biggest thing about starting a new life, and I've done it many times, you wake up and you look at the world, how can this happen? Look at my situation. God has back doors already open for you. God knows what he's doing. He's going to lead you on a path. It's a lot easier than you think. It just looks scary. Me, when it happens to me, it's happened to me so many times, I'm like, okay. Because you can feel the Spirit is pushing you out of a situation, or the Spirit is closing doors. The Spirit is making sure that you know for a fact you're not welcome where you're at, because you aren't. So staying there, all you're doing is being like, I'm the enemy, come attack me. And if you don't know how to fight spiritually, and you're not roaring back, or you're not fighting back, they're just going to pick you apart. So a lot of times God will just move you, and God will be like, hey, this ain't safe ground no more. The Spirit says move, you move. The Spirit says stay, you stay. If you're even hearing from the Spirit anymore, blessed are you. Because then you have true treasure. You see these people that have millions and all of this, and celebrities committing suicide. It doesn't mean anything if you're always wanting something. And I can testify, I've been in so many situations where God has been like, look how extravagant this is for you and all this. But the Spirit will always be like, but you're not enjoying it. Why aren't you enjoying it? What's it mean? I'm working. And I have my wife. Which is something she has longed to hear me say, I guess. Alright, pause. And the things I think are extravagant, Just because I've never experienced it before. Most people would be like, that's pretty mediocre and normal. And I'm like, oh, the air conditioner works. There's not a G pipe I found in the hotel. I got a TV, 2 beds, hot water. This isn't extravagant. People are like, no, Lord, like there's way better hotels but where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. I'd rather be in God's presence as much as I can, which is probably what's been pissing me off, because a lot of you aren't. Because God always makes it special. And God has. He was like, look at the dresser. It looks just like, here, you can look at it. Looks just like the temple, doesn't it? Remember those times? I was sitting there like, I don't know, I'm washing the sheets from the last person that you told me to counsel in here, and that didn't admit to anything. But it did to you guys. Pause. I'm going to wrap this up right now, because I only say what I'm supposed to say. Now, right now, I'm going to do something I never did before. Right now, I'm all about money. Funny thing to say, right? Not because I need it. It's my inheritance, it's my birthright, and it is mine. And that's how you get status in this world. Fine. You don't strengthen a muscle that's about to pop. I know all about poverty. And what's going to happen is I'm going to share that with all of you. Because I know you'll handle it responsibly. And when you're in the streets, and I'm not talking about that fake ass shit where you go home to your mom's because you have a house. I'm talking about when you're hustling from the ground up just to get what you need. When you have that, people listen. And I don't know what I'm building out here, but I know I'm building something. I guess I'm doing, if I was a televangelist, how would I do it? The proper way. Something is going to happen 3 weeks from now. Something's going to happen 3 months from now. Either I'm going to suffer without, or I'll be the one that has it, that helps other people out. Either way, it's not your money in the first place. So if the Spirit tells you to do something, do it. Because 9 times out of 10, what the Spirit asks from you, 90% He's given you. 100% He's given you. Your miracles and your healings and all of that, that will come from your obedience. Once you get to know him, chances are you won't care. And that's how it's supposed to be. But what I do know, any king that is constantly disobeyed and all of that, you don't have a kingdom. You have you telling people, and they're not doing anything. And when the enemy is at the gate and all of this, you have no defense. If you don't want to be part of this kingdom, that's fine. But don't get mad at God about it. This is my kingdom. It was given to me. My inheritance. I will expand it. We will have happy times right in front of these people so they can see the supernatural power of God. Now it's better to be on his side and live in his kingdom. And if that ain't your mission, then you missed the entire point of Christianity and following Jesus. Spirit's telling me that's enough. So,